I'm going to attempt to show you some pictures of photographs of the early club days, starting with about 1967, progressing up through 1975. This is the club logo or patch of the Keystone VHF Club. I'm W3SST. Here we go. This is a picture that includes our early 2-meter repeater, and I believe on the right hand side that's a fellow by the name of Darrell. Is currently working in the Harrisburg area. He used to be a member of the VHF Club. I don't know what his call is. In the center you'll see the rack there with I believe Ray Schaub working on the repeater, and in the foreground there on the chair is Jennifer Schaub, quite a few years ago. Most of these pictures are black and white. There are a few color pictures. This is a picture of W3UQJ and Harold Hollander. W3UQJ obviously there is facing away from us. I don't know what the event was here, but that's Harold Hollander, W3 or K3JHC. No, W3JHC. I'm sorry, on the right hand side there. Apparently some sort of a picnic or outing that the VHF Club had, perhaps a ham fest. Now we're getting into one of the club activities. Excuse me, this is a June contest in 1970. The young man in the center there is Dick Schenberger. His call escapes me right now. And Darrell, there with the earphones on. Apparently they're working some DX stations there during the June 1970 VHF contest. Here's another picture of the same weekend. That appears to be me there in the far corner, probably on the 6-meter equipment. In the center is a rack there of some 220 megacycle equipment that Bill Barefoot built and allowed the club to use on 220 megacycles. This was back in June 1970. There's another photograph, same contest, and I'm not sure who the person sitting. It might be Frank Bear, K3GDI, with the earphones on. It's obviously me there overlooking, and that was at the 6-meter site, 6-meter position at the VHF Club during the June 70 contest. This is Ken Schenberger again. At the Swan 250, attempting to work some stations on the June 1970 contest. Dick is currently in Alaska, working in broadcast work in Alaska. Another shot of Dick, Dick at the same location. Obviously it was a Swan 250 at that time. Same spot. Oops, there we go. There's another shot. That apparently is Dick and Darrell again at the same 6-meter location during the June VHF contest. And here's a shot of yours truly. Don't know what he was doing, but sitting there by the 220, probably working on something to get the equipment ready for the contest, I suspect. Again, here's another picture, same weekend. Dick Schenberger over on the right hand side on, I assume, 6 meters. Ken there on the floor next to him, coming from right to left. I don't know what that big piece of equipment was there, that rack. But then I'm next there, sitting at the one double desk location. And over here in the corner near my thumb is Frank Bear, K3GDI. probably operating 2 meters. I think we had a 2 meter position at that spot in those days. Another picture of Dick Schenberger. Assume that's his father back there in the corner, and I think that's me leaning over. We're looking at something there. And Darrell again. And still can't identify. Oh, that was a 2 meter equipment, I think. That was some 2 meter equipment we had there in Iraq at that time that we used for contest purposes. That was in the AM days. And there's Dick. I guess that's me in shorts there. And Darrell over in the corner again, same weekend, June 1970. Most of these photographs are courtesy of K3HPI, Carol Thiem, who is the silent key of the Keystone VHF Club. He was our official photographer at that time. There's a good shot of Ken, or Dick rather. Somebody asked him a question, and also Darrell there, sitting at the same spot. These were photographs that were gathered at the VHF Club and left there for posterity, and I decided to put them on videotape here to in case they should disappear. Again, there's Dick Schenberger. He was a very active member, he and his father. He lived in the West York area. His father was Ken, WB3EBV, and he was quite a builder. I'm not sure what Dick's call is here now. And here's one of our members, Jim Strauss, operating the 2 meter rig. I think that was a Heathkit 2 meter AM rig that later got stolen. And that was the 2 meter location at that time. And golly, you never should take a picture without somebody in it, but there it is. 220 megacycle rig, and it looks like that's the 2 meter rig back against in the corner, and a big double desk there. So that's just a clubroom site or view. And here's a copy of Frank, K3GDI, operating the 2 meter rig. Again, these were all in the June 1970 contest. The way I've been able to identify them is the date on the back of the picture is June 1970. So, here's another shot, same time frame. Darrell and Dick, and I'm not sure who the person is with their back turned. It might have been Ken, WB3EBV, and Ken incidentally has also passed away. He's a silent key member of the club, Ken Schenberger. There's a copy of me operating something there, and Ken, that's a good picture of Ken there on the floor working on the equipment, and Dick over on the right hand side, and Darrell here on the left working, and I'm not sure, it's probably Frank over here in the corner working 6 meters by my thumb. Maybe we'll have a better picture of that here later. Okay, there's another shot of Jim Strauss. That shows the fireplace and the 2 meter operating position. And again, that's June 1970. A lot of pictures in June 1970. Too bad we don't have a lot of other pictures, but I guess things like that just don't happen sometimes. There's again Darrell and Ken Schenberger. Maybe a duplicate photograph here, I'm not sure. But at least none of these are repetitious. I'm just going through a stack here, which are arranged in chronological order, and They are not duplicates. If they're duplicates, they're duplicate prints, which they might very well be. There's a good job, or a good shot of Ken WB3EBV, WB3EBV. Yeah, get it out here yet. I believe that was a 2 meter equipment there. Apparently relaxing and listening for some DX. Okay, and again there's a picture that appears to be W3 or Jim Strauss. I'm laboring to remember his call. It's K3J something. I'll come up with it after a bit. And make you aware of what it is. I'm sure somebody on the dub here will be able to come up with these call signs. There's a shot of Darrell. Again, that appears to be the 6 meter position. Darrell was keeping log, I think, in those days. I'm not sure that Darrell had a call at that time. He later, or was licensed at one period in time. No longer active in the club. He's lives in the Harrisburg area and is chief engineer of a radio station up there. This is me, and I'm not sure what band. 220 in the background. That might have been some 432. I think we were doing some 432 or 1296 testing at that time. And that was me at the center location there. Now this is a little later. I don't know what contest this is, but it's not the same contest. And you see Darrell is there again, looking from left to right. Ron Sandhouse, K3, oh boy, K3S something. And the next one is Steve Cruz, K3WHC. And there was a little more equipment around at that time. I'm sure it was a contest weekend. And I'll think of Ron's call here after a bit, I hope. Ron is currently a policeman over in Lancaster County. Still active. Here we have in the far left there Lowell Williams, W3SST, who is now deceased and a ex-member of the club, and Silent Key. And again Ron Sandhouse with a microphone. And also Steve Cruz with a microphone. These are one of these rare pictures of Lowell Williams, W3SXD. Now I don't know what was going on here. No, I have it the wrong direction here. There was something going on outside. It's a little out of focus. It looks like Ron Sandhouse doing something, working on an antenna. And perhaps somebody will be able to identify that at a later date. But we usually worked on the antennas on contest days because it just seems that we never had time prior to the contest. And again, this looks like an antenna project, probably the day of the contest, to repair something that needed repair. It looks like it might have been a 6 meter beam. That's obviously the telephone ringing. I'm not sure who that is. I believe that's Jack Smith, though, at a 220 megacycle location. And this again was probably a contest weekend. I'm not sure of the exact date. Again, these pictures were furnished by Carol Thiem. Okay, and this is Steve Cruz again in front of our repeater. This picture may be similar to one of the opening shots as far as time frame is concerned, but that is the cabinet of the old 2 meter repeater that was first put on the air cooperatively by Keystone VHF Club and the York Amateur Radio Club. This is a shot here. I'm not sure who both the people are. Oh, that's Earl, I guess, W3WOS in the foreground on the right. Darrell on the far side there, and that may be Lowell, W3SST, with his back towards us at the 6 meter location. This is K3WHC on the left here, and again it's a 6 meter location. Ron Sandhouse with his head back towards us during a contest. Again, the exact date is unknown. Another picture, Ron Sandhouse in the center, left of center, and Steve Cruz, K3WHC, in the background there. And I suspect this was in the 1970s or 71, 72, along in there. Looks like they're about the same time frame. And here indeed is another picture, probably should have been grouped with the other one there. Looks like some sort of a satellite antenna project perhaps. Ron Sandhouse there making some adjustments. That may have been a satellite system. We had one operational there at the club at one point in time. This is a good shot of W3SST. It was operating 6 meter rig at that time. Don't know who the person was standing to the left here, but it was obviously a contest in the early 70s. Another picture of Steve Cruz and Ron Sandhouse. That may very well have been some satellite work, I don't know. That antenna certainly looked like a satellite antenna that we had a few minutes ago. You see there's a logbook laying there, and they're obviously working a contest. This is a shot with Ron Sandhouse, Darrell. I don't know who the gentleman is here on the left, and I can't identify the person back at the operating position either. But it's obviously a contest weekend. We had somebody sitting over on the right. Looked like we had more loafers there than we had operators. I don't know whether that contest was in full swing at that time or not, but it looks like it might have been dark out. So I suspect that we should have been operating the contest. And I guess here's another shot of Darrell taking it easy. It looks like they had some sleeping bags, and he may have slept there that night from the looks of things. The refrigerator back on the far side, and a bench here for working on equipment. Again, more pictures. Looks like pretty much the same weekend. We had a lot of pictures from this weekend. Too bad we don't have pictures from some other weekends. Ron Sandhouse and Steve Cruz there at the same old 6 meter location. And here we see Lowell, W3SST, and Ron Sandhouse in there digging for one of those weak signals. Probably on 6 meters. Not sure who the gentleman is there that is hidden behind Lowell. This is a picture of Steve Cruz again and Ron Sandhouse. Same location. And Carl was a real shuttle bug at times. Carl theme K3HPI. Here's another picture of Lowell, and looks like Ray Schaub perhaps back here. He's back to us, and looks like Earl, W3WOS, over there on the right, and Darrell sitting there behind Lowell, and I'm not sure who the operators were, but this was obviously a contest operation. And here's another picture, Steve Cruz and Darrell doing a logging, and I'm not sure who that gentleman is with his head towards us, or back towards us, but again, more contesting. Now I'm starting some pictures that are dated 1975, and I believe this was a contest weekend at Wagner's Gap, probably, up by the microwave TV site, or microwave, telephone microwave site in Cumberland County. They had some tents up. I was not part of this operation, so I can't really give you any more details on it, other than I do recall they went up there, and I think this is while I was in Columbus, Ohio. Again, here's a color picture of 1975 with Earl, W3WOS, and someone else. And I'm not sure, this may have been on this weekend contest. I think it was. It was a outing to a site. And from all appearances, it appears to be the one that they went to Wagner's Gap. And here's some of the equipment. Again, the tent and a tower that was put up there, and another tent in the background, and there are 4 or 5 fellows back here, but they're too far away. I can't really identify them. This appears to be the same weekend, and Steve is a fellow leaning forward there, and a fellow sitting with a profile I'm not familiar with. Perhaps somebody else will be able to identify him, and we can give some more information on the tape at that time. Looks like they had a kitchen along. Looks almost like an army kitchen with a fly there, and same operation. Appears to be Wagner's Gap ATT microwave, or Bell microwave tower there in the background. And they were operating up there for the weekend. Again, this appeared to be in 1975 according to the information on the backs of the pictures. Okay, here's another shot. Looks like they had a generator there. And I believe that's W3FLD, John Zett, doing some maintenance on the generator, and with a tent in the background. Looks like they slept up there and had a real go at it. And another color picture of the operation showing a tower. And the tent, and somebody's automobile there, and somebody just inside the door of the tent. I don't know who that might have been. And here's a shot of Steve, obviously getting ready to put an antenna up, or looking up in the trees for some reason. I would assume putting up some sort of an antenna. It might have been field day. This could have very well been a field day operation rather than a VHF contest, from the amount of operators there and the fact that they were trying to throw something up into the trees. I assume that would have been probably a dipole antenna. Another shot of Steve there attempting to locate something in the tree. And here they're obviously looking at the generator. I don't know what kind of a generator that was. It was a small unit, and it appears to be W3FLD on the left here. The other two people I can't identify. Again, should be the same weekend in 1975, and I would almost think that it was a field day operation rather than a VHF contest, but perhaps somebody else, John or somebody, will be able to identify that. Okay, and here's a picture of a lot of people. I only know 3 of them in there. From the left, or coming from the right, was Darrell, and then W3WOS, Earl, and W3FLD close to the tower there. And the other 2 gentlemen, I just don't know. Their names escape me at the present time. Again, this is all in 1975. Appears to be an operation field day, or perhaps a VHF contest up at Wagner's Gap near the Cumberland-Perry County line. Again, there was a group of guys together and showing the general location there of the equipment. Well, this was the same weekend. This was K3NVI, Denny Cooper. Apparently that's a low band rig. Looks like a Yaesu perhaps. And I suspect this was a field day operation rather than a VHF contest. And I'm sure some of these fellows will recall it, and we can get that information on the tape. Here's a shot of Steve, and I can't remember Steve's last name or call. He was very active in field day and contests and so forth at the time, and this was obviously the same weekend, operating inside a tent. Okay, and here is Steve on the right, and I don't know the gentleman's name on the left. He looks vaguely familiar, but I don't know. And again, that's they're servicing the generator. Looks like somebody had a motorcycle there in the background. Again, it's the same weekend in June of 1975. Okay, and here's a shot of Earl, W3WOS, and another person I'm not sure who they are on the right hand side of the back towards us, but that was an operating position. Looked like maybe a Heath kit unit there, low band unit, so I'm pretty sure this was a field day rather than a VHF contest. Okay, here's Steve. Again, that looks like the Yaesu that we have right now. That's Steve apparently getting ready to work somebody, or working somebody. He has a bug there. And I believe that to be the same weekend. It is also dated 1975. And there's Steve again. There looks like they're still working on putting antennas on, or up, or perhaps this was before everything else was done. I don't know who the young fellow is with his back towards us, but he was obviously attempting to assist Steve. They were looking up, trying to get some antennas up in the air. This appears to be a crank-up tower. It may be the crank-up tower that we have up at the club now, I'm not sure. But somebody's climbing up there to do some maintenance work. Looks like a 2-meter antenna up there, vertical. I'm not sure, but it's the same weekend again, and I can't identify the people that are up there. Again, here's one of the tents that was up. I don't know, I can't identify anyone on that picture. Perhaps somebody else will be able to. Here's another shot of the same location, showing they had apparently about 3 or 4 tents there at the microwave site. I'm not sure who this is either, but they're checking out a camper that was there, tying things down, I suppose. That looks a little bit like it might be WB3BZA. I'm not sure. Just not sure at all. Thought it might be him. This appears to be John Saloni. I'm not sure. Of the York Club. It could very well be. Apparently this is the same weekend from all appearances here. Not unusual for people to show up and not stay the entire weekend, just show up to operate. There's another shot of the motorcycle and the microwave tower and the whole area. And I can't identify anybody on that picture. Same shot apparently. Apparently I have 2 of those. Put it up there for what it's worth. And this is obviously a shot at our club site in the snow. with snow on the ground. I don't know who the people are. It is in color. And it's not stamped with any date. I just couldn't identify who they are. Well, this is the installation of the crank-up tower, the bottom section of the combination tilt-over and crank-up tower. First section being in concrete there. I don't know that I have a date on this. No date on that.